Now, let's deal with the third factor that disrupts soil life: lazy root syndrome. This is the, perhaps surprising way, that plants react to the introduction of salt-based synthetic fertilizers. Plants have evolved to obtain water and nutrients from soil through symbiotic partnerships with specialized soil microbes. Plants do not expect nutrients to be found in the soil in a soluble, reactive state. And so when plants are exposed to synthetic nutrients, three important things happen. A. Plant roots can only absorb small amounts of synthetic nutrients provided. They're not very efficient at making use of this chemical bounty. So much of the solution applied escapes the root zone as leachate, bound downstream to parts unknown. B. Because the plant is no longer hungry for the nutrients provided by the synthetic fertilizer, it stops feeding its previous source for nutrients, its microbial soil partners. This is in fact what lazy root syndrome is. And without the energy, the sugars exuded from plant roots, the plant's former symbiotic partners start to die off. And when the bacteria and mycorrhizal fungi formerly supported by plant roots die off, the rest of the pyramid of life in soil begins to collapse along with its foundation. So what's to be done? As I mentioned earlier, at Root Rescue, we've modeled our plant growth technology on nature's nutrient supply system. We've looked closely at how plant succession works, both above and below the grade, and we've figured out what to do. Let's take a look now at how nature rebuilds the ecosystem after a calamity. After any soil disturbance, whether natural or man-made, nature always begins the recovery the same way. She starts with annual plants. Fast-growing, quick-to-produce seeds, these are the band-aid that nature first applies. This early successional emergency workforce does not require the assistance of mycorrhizal fungi. They only need the presence of ubiquitous soil bacteria to take hold. We call many of these tough pioneers weeds, and they are a necessary step in the rebuilding of damaged soils. This, by the way, explains why we have so many problems with weeds in our urban landscapes. To nature, our urban soils are damaged goods, and she's determined to send in the emergency workforce to begin repairing them. The plants that follow the annuals always emerge in the same order. Grasses and perennials arrive next, and as soils grow deeper and the perennials grow higher, shrubs arrive, and the annuals give way. Next, the deciduous trees begin to establish, and eventually the climax plants of the forest stake their claim. Depending on the climate, these will either be hardwood trees, conifers, or a combination of both.